Bine ai venit la Carieră 360, un podcast gândit și creat special pentru tine. Suntem aici pentru a răspunde tuturor întrebărilor tale legate de carieră, precum ce carieră să încep, cum pot să primești jobul dorit sau cum să-mi schimb domeniul. La Carieră 360 niciun topic nu rămâne nedezbătut.
Hi, welcome to a new podcast, Career 360, a project Hipo.ro. In just a few days, the biggest career fair in Romania is going to take place in Bucharest, Angajator de Top. So we're waiting for you on the 31st of March and the 1st of April at Sala Palatului. It doesn't matter your experience level, the domain you work in, or if you're ready to get hired right away, we're waiting for you there. Today, in today's episode, we have a very interesting topic, and it's a bit of a surprise, I think. We're going to talk about how you can transform your passion for gaming into a career. And the guests today are from Keyword Studios, Mirko Dessi, Project Manager and Player Support, and Vlad Alexandru, Regional Director, East Europe. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Julia. Hi.
Hi, Julia. Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. So I'm very curious. I have many questions for you today. But first, I'm curious about what does Keyword Studio do?
Thank you. I'll take this one. So first of all, thank you for having us, and it's a pleasure to be here and tell you a little bit about what we do and who we are. We are quite new in Romania. We've only recently established a new entity called Keyword Studios Romania in the middle of last year. But our first foray into the Romanian market was the acquisition of AMC Studio. Right here behind me, you can see their logo, which is an art studio here in the heart of Bucharest next to Cismigiu Park. And this happened 2 years ago almost. Keywords, long story short, is what we call an external developer. We provide all the services that are part of the cycle of game development to game development companies. We work with 24 out of the 25 top developers, such as Electronic Arts or Ubisoft or Activision, helping them bring their games to life and providing them with services from the beginning of the cycle, such as development and art, up to the end of the cycle, marketing, trailers, and player support, from where Mirko is.
Wow, that's very complete. I did not expect that, and also sounds very interesting. It sounds like you have a lot of projects that you probably work on at the same time, right?
Yes, I mean, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of projects going on across the company. We have 70 studios in the world and over 12,000 employees right now. So, yeah, quite a bit.
It's amazing. And I just found out that neither of you had initially started your career in gaming. And I find this quite interesting. So I'm very curious to hear about how did you decide to make the switch? How did you make your switch and why? So maybe in a few words, you can each tell us a little bit about your career path.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy to answer this question because I have a pretty diverse background when it comes to experience. As a matter of fact, now I'm 37, but when I started working, I was 18, and I spent 3 years in the army as a volunteer. And after that, I actually transitioned to another sector, which was sales. And I started working on that field for quite some time. And, it was back on 2009 when there was the first crisis that was hitting the markets. So I was forced to some extent to transition to a different sector, which was the security. In that regards, I learned something that was really, really helpful in terms of managing projects. And after that, I managed to another sector, which was, to long story short, I was working as a miner. And I was actually driving the tunneling burning machine, which are those huge machines that are actually driving and creating the tunnels where the cars are passing by. And after that moment, I decided to actually have a little bit of a me time, so to say. And I decided to actually put my focus on what I really like, which are video games. And in that regards, I decide to embrace the challenge and start from the very entry level. And after roughly 10 years, I can say that it's paying off.
Wow, it's amazing. That's truly a very diverse career path. I think you've probably won, Mirko. I think until now I've never heard such a diverse career path. Very interesting. And you said that after 10 years or so, it paid off. But I'm curious, when you made the switch to gaming, what was kind of the first thing you did?
Well, I started in player support, and I started as a player support agent. I was supporting English and Italian customers. And of course, I was excited. I was a little bit curious to finally get my dream and work at the same time. So it was a little bit of there is always this fear in the back of the head of failing. But honestly, this is also the environment that we are working with. It's actually helpful and it's an healthy environment which helps people to succeed. So in this regard, I started from an entry level. I gain experience, I gain knowledge, and I upskill my talent with time.
That's very interesting. Okay, Vlad, now I'm really curious to hear about you. What's your story?
It's tough to follow that. It's definitely not as colorful as Mirko's experience. I mean, for me, games has always been a passion. Ever since I was a kid, I was playing a lot of Dota with my friends up until the mornings, and then getting up at 6 p.m. And to be honest, I've never been a big fan of school either. I got into law school, and I was there for 1 year before I realized that's really not for me. And I decided to just dedicate my time in my career. I already had a job in the hotel business, which at the time I liked. And for a few years I did that. I moved on, then I got a job in telemarketing. And that was basically my entry point into sales and business development at a company called Bitdefender, which I think many of you may be familiar with as well. And I started growing easily in the field of sales in the software industry, going through other companies like Oracle, some smaller companies as well. But one day I was just browsing through LinkedIn, and I saw this ad for a business development director at AMC. And initially I thought that it was AMC, the TV channel that does the Walking Dead. And I was just curious, and I went to their website to see what it is about. And the first thing I saw on the website was the Witcher 3 project, which is my all-time favorite game probably. And I knew I had to get that job. So sent them an email. That was basically what landed me the job. I sent them a very long email just saying, please hire me. I'm your guy. And they did. They liked me, even though I wasn't necessarily the most qualified candidate. I think that the enthusiasm that I had for the industry, the love for it, was really what made the difference. And it really turned my life around, because even though I had nothing against being in software, it wasn't really what I was passionate about. And just doing something that you like every day makes your life that much meaningful. So
yeah, that's so
I recommend
true.
it.
We all recommend it. So we hear very often that passion and when we start our career, it's important. But of course, we don't always know what we're passionate about before we start working. And from my own experience, I know that you can be very passionate about what you're studying in university, but the job itself might not bring you the same type of lifestyle, or you might not feel the same motivation and passion you felt when you were studying. So I think both of you are amazing examples that no matter where you start, what you study, when you truly love what you do, you can turn that into a successful career, as you both did. It's quite amazing. And at Hipo.ro, we actually do a lot of market research. And one of the main points that showed up this year is that a lot of students that are now finishing or that are still students, they would like an entry-level job, but they feel quite terrified of this thing that they don't have experience, and especially experience in the field. So if you are a gamer and if you love video games, this is your opportunity. So please stay with us. You're going to find out how you can get a job in the field. So you do both have very interesting career paths, and I was wondering why gaming? What does this field have different than others? What do you think that attracts people, and why should they build a career?
Mirko, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, I cannot provide you an unbiased opinion of this. Right? As a gamer myself, I'm going to promote this as the best choice that I ever made. But truth to be told, we can see that this is also something that is changing with society. There was a sort of a stigma, I would say even 30 years ago, about video games in general, where we saw as something that wasn't really productive or giving possibility to people to actually become successful through video games. Finally, right now, we can see that the cultural approach is changing. And finally, we can see that working with video games is not it's not seen in a negative connotation, but actually is a super positive. And because it is a really open-minded environment, there is no rush in terms of failing. Don't take me wrong, of course, we always must deliver, we always need to comply, but there is also understanding, which is something that, at least from my personal experience in other sectors, is something that unfortunately is lacking. There is awareness of what it means working together. There is awareness of collaboration and communication, and most importantly, respect.
Yeah.
Would you say that, Vlad, I have a bit of a different question for you. It's kind of the same way, but would you say the gaming industry is now an industry that will give you the opportunity to advance fast in your career?
I would say that fast is very relative to each one. From my view, yes. From my view, because it's such a fast-growing industry, there are so many opportunities opening up simply every day. It's if you're not gonna be able to grow within this industry, I think that you're not going to be able to grow in any industry. It offers you so many opportunities. It's dozens, if not already hundreds of AAA games being developed. Every year we have studios opening up in Romania as well, which so far has been trailing behind the rest of the world, I would say, sadly. But we have more and more indie developers. They give opportunities for people who simply have an idea to bring it to life. Investors are more and more interested into putting money into video games. So it's definitely is one of the fastest growing industries, and yeah, lots of opportunities there.
So this could definitely be one of the many reasons why somebody would choose the gaming industry. We are getting used to live faster and faster, and we're getting used to, advance in our career faster. There are people now that in their early 20s, they have, well-developed career. So this is definitely, I think, one of the fields where you can really accelerate if you put the work and if you're passionate about. Would you say that's correct?
That's correct. I mean, if I look at my own career, then I would definitely agree. I'm 34 years old, and I think that to some standards, I am pretty young for the role I am holding. So perhaps I'm a good example of how fast you can advance in your career.
It's amazing. Well, you are. Now I have to be honest, and I have to say something. I'm not a gamer. I like podcasts and marketing though. So I haven't even played Candy Crush. I know it seems crazy. It seems like everybody has done that. But let's say that I'm going to think that maybe podcasting is not for me anymore, and I'd like to switch to gaming. What would realistically be my chances to start a career in the field?
Very, very high. I mean, I just gonna say one thing, and Mirko, I'll let you weigh in as well, because what I want to point out is that when we look at gaming or at the gaming industry, we tend sometimes from the outside to believe that it's very niched, not just in terms of it has to do with gaming, but it has to do with technology. But that's not necessarily the case. There are so many roles within the gaming environment. Like I said, everything from player support and testing to marketing and social media, which is a big thing of promoting video games, obviously, same as in the entertainment industry. So it really makes no difference, what your background is, what your focus is. There is a role for pretty much everybody in video games.
I absolutely agree with Vlad, and this is actually the beauty of the industry, right? No matter the background, there is always an available possibility for everyone. And honestly, I'm the living proof of it. As I said, I came to this industry with a totally different background. I started from just thanks to my knowledge of my languages, the languages that I know. So, that I had some secret weapon or some superpower that helped me in the process. It was, of course, the entry level was the requirement was learning. Knowing the language and communicate properly with the players. But this is applied for every kind of situation. I have some friends of mine that are working in this industry, and they spent 20 plus years in the accommodation sectors, and now they are game testers. So the background doesn't really define what you can be in the video game industry.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And you don't have to be a gamer either.
You don't have to be a gamer. I was going to ask this. I'm curious, how does starting a career at Keyword Studios look? Like, do you come to the interview and then you have to be prepared with a few games that you've played, or will you get asked what games you've played? How often you play games? I'm a little bit curious. How would starting a career in Keywords would look like?
Well, for sure, that's something that during the interview, someone would be asking because, of course, in the video game. So, out of curiosity, we're always trying to understand the counterpart and which kind of games or titles they are interested. But is definitely not a must. I can tell you for sure that in some of the recent interview that I had, one of the candidates admitted that is not a gamer, and she was successful at the very end. So doesn't really mean that you will not be chosen just because you don't play a video game.
We just hired in Keywords Romania a couple of new colleagues within HR and talent recruitment. Neither of them with a particular personal passion for video games, but I guess what drew them to the video game industry was the people. Really, they saw that they really liked that it's full of younger kind of vibration and energy. They liked it. They applied, and they are both newly employed. And so far, they are happy with their roles. Only good things to say. So, yeah.
That's very interesting. Now because I'm sure we will have, and probably there are quite a few gamers watching, right? I mean, if you're passionate about video games, and if you want to have a good answer to your parents when they say, don't play this many video games anymore, now the perfect answer is that you're working and building a career, right? So what about those that are passionate about gaming? How would they start their career in your company?
Well, for sure, they have depends on the role that they are going to apply. They are going to also have don't want to call it an advantage, but because it is not, eventually it will be just an additional motivation. Mm-hmm. So it helps, of course, and maybe they will take the pleasure of working the game that they actually love and they are playing on a daily basis. So that could happen, but is not giving the person an advantage, is simply adding a cherry on the top of the cake, I would say.
There is, I guess, also the advantage of knowing what you want to do, which is great to have, because for us, it takes a long time, like you said, Julia, to finally discover what you're passionate about. So they do have this personal advantage that when you know what you're going to do, you're more confident in it. In terms of how to start it, it's really up to them. I mean, there are so many avenues you can choose from, depending on whether or not you want to be part of the team that creates the levels that you're playing. You want to be part of the team that creates the art that surrounds you or the characters. You want to do voiceover. You want to translate the game. You want to market the game. You want to support the players who play it. So there are so many avenues depending on what kind of path you want to take within the video game industry. Then there are slightly different avenues you can take. So if we had the time to speak a bit more into detail about, for example, what we do here in Romania a lot, which is the 3D art, then obviously there are certain steps in training yourself and finding programs that can help you train in that direction, which would definitely help. If we're talking about a more specialized role, if we're talking about something that's not as specialized, such as player support or testing, all you really need to do is apply and have a good attitude and know a foreign language. Sorry, that would be ideal.
And let's say that I've applied to a position within the company. I passed the interview. How would it look from there? Do you provide training for the type of positions, especially that you mentioned that you have available in Romania? Maybe if you can mention a little bit a few jobs that you have available and a bit. What would you recommend for the applicants, and what would happen? Many wonder, okay, I will apply in this company. I like the job, but I'm wondering what's happening after. Is there training provided? Is there a mentorship program? How will I get, how will I become part of the team and so on?
Yeah. So currently here in Romania, we are focused on developing 2 service lines. One of them is the part of what we call the create service line, is the art, 3D art and other types of art, and the player support service line, where Mirko is part of. They are quite different. This is why they are also a bit independent from each other. I can tell you a little bit that we do have we have mentorship programs here. We have internship programs as well. And of course, once you get onboarded onto the team, you also have a pretty, I would say, maybe not hardcore, but a pretty intense training as well to make sure that you reach the level of quality that we deliver to our clients. Keywords is one of the top companies in terms of the quality of the services that gets delivered. So of course, this is a big focus of making sure that everyone who works at Keywords is at that level of quality and that we help them achieve them. As Mirko, you can give us some background as well about what happens with player support when someone gets hired.
Absolutely. Once that candidate is hired, it's not going to happen that is like, oh, here we go, now you're ready to go. Absolutely, that's not the case. There are extensive training. First of all, candidates are going through the onboarding, then they are taking more into the details of the game and product that they're going to support, because of course they need to have the knowledge in order to answer the player concerns. So of course there is an extensive training that they need to attend according to the product, and there are possibility, as we were discussing, not only to grow but also to participate to mentoring programs and other different activities that we have established successfully here in Keywords.
And just a very fast question, because this is also probably more for you, Mirko. Let's say that you start your career in the department you just mentioned. How often are people hired for positions? Like, let's say, how often they grow from that position?
I would say that it happens quite often that the people is actually growing in the same service line and taking over and go through the experience. We have different learning path. One of them is the leadership path, but we have also more technical aspect of the job, which are like the trainers that are actually helping to develop our service line. So I would say that I cannot give you an accurate number because now I cannot throw my memory and I don't want to lie, but for sure possibility are here and present. And at the same time, I would say that probably after 2-3 years, but there are of course exceptions, people is actually scaling up.
That's amazing. So for those listening, sounds like starting even from an internship position, you have the opportunity to grow within the company on any of the directions you like to go. You just have to show the dedication and the motivation. And the positions are very wide, going from, as you said, positions maybe in HR to gaming to leadership and so on. So that's really amazing. You will be present at our career event, Angajator de Top Bucharest, on the 31st of March and 1st of April at Sala Palatului. And I'm wondering if you could give us just a little peek at what you've prepared for those that will come and visit your booth there.
Definitely will be there, and there's gonna be 4 of us, me and my lovely colleagues from HR and recruitment, as well as from Keywords Romania, as well as from AMC Studio. We are coming with some very cool giveaways. I'm not gonna say what it is, but it's gonna be very nice. I think people will love it, so do come by and talk to us and ask us any questions. We will be there to answer everything we can in terms of your career path and what you can do. Also, if you're interested in mentorships and internships, come ask us about those as well.
That's amazing. So you cannot miss the event because it seems like Keyword Studios has also prepared some really fun activities and fun giveaways for you. And don't be shy. Visit the booth and ask whatever questions you have relating about the company, the positions they have open, about how would career in the company would look like, anything you would like to ask. They look like they're very friendly. So after this podcast, I hope now you will feel a bit more comfortable to reach out to them at Angajator de Top Bucharest. Well, thank you very much for your presence. It was very interesting. I've loved this podcast, and I'm really hoping to see you as well in the fall at our event at that time.
Thank you very much, Julia. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Julia.
And a wonderful day for everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.